All right, I'm now joined by a Waterloo native. He actually played for the London Knights before coming over to our Windsor Spitfires, and he helped lead the team to the OHL final this year. Matt Onuska, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So, how's the off season been so far for you?
It's been good. A lot of kind of recovery after kind of the long season there, the hectic schedule down the stretch with kind of the condensed season. We played so many games, even in the regular season, right in the last month there, trying to like make up for the missed games and everything. So yeah, it's been a lot of recovery to start the off season.
Yeah. I was gonna say, probably a rest for sure is needed after all that. I mean, probably still coming down from it, right?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. It's one of those where, with such a quick turnaround kind of to next season because of the extended season, it's like you want to get in rest, but at the same time, you got to kind of find that fine line between like getting your body rest, but also making sure you're prepared to go again soon here.
Yeah, I mean, before you know it, I mean, they've already announced the next season schedule
Yeah.
and now preseason. So before you know it, I mean, it's back to it, right? And again, it's just you don't know what the schedule is going to be like when it just keeps going and going. And a different year too, something we'll talk about for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was right after game 7 there, like they announced the schedule for the next season the next
Yeah,
day or something like that. So it's like, yeah.
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 I don't know. It's I think obviously because of COVID and stuff, like
Mhm.
things are a little different this year. But it's like a lot of firsts, right? Like the first time that the OHL is ever played in June. It's like I didn't even realize that, right?
Yeah, no,
It just
exactly.
it just feels so different. Like that's it's
Mhm.
like, isn't this normally announced a lot later? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
so
yeah.
a lot of that for sure. And we'll talk about that too, because I mean, it's crazy to think, rewind 2 or 3 years ago where the league was, where everyone was, and where yourself was. And you came into this squad pretty early on this season, I guess you can say, or this year, even back in January, being traded from London to Windsor. Did you kind of realize something special with this group right away, or did it kind of progress throughout the season and into the
Yeah,
end?
I think right away I kind of realized it was at least a special group kind of off the ice. I thought right away when I joined the atmosphere in the room, I found, all throughout the dressing room, everyone was kind of friends with each other. The group got along great. We had kind of a bunch of different guys kind of trade come into the team, and I fucking from there.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's hard to tell for us, and I mean, especially this year, right? Like you said, like there were some highs and lows. I mean, the highs were high, the lows I didn't think were that low, right? So if you look back on it, it's like this is a well-built team, but at the very beginning, we didn't really know. It's been 2 years off. Some guys had been gone, and so it was like a mystery kind of year at the beginning, right? Like it was hard to make any prediction of any
Mhm.
team, really.
Oh, exactly. I don't think anyone really knew kind of, what the progression would be like after guys missing 2 years, what guys kind of would step up and that sort of thing. And I think that it was almost exciting in that way to kind of have no idea. It was truly like a battle of like, who's gonna be the contenders and who's gonna kind of fall off.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like you said, like from the very beginning, it was like this can go any way.
Yeah.
Anyone can be the top dog. And
Yeah.
speaking of this team, though, kind of coming in new for you, was this like a brand new team for you, or did you know anybody? I was trying to do some research. I'm like, I can't find anyone that you
It wa-
might
it
know.
was it was pretty brand new. I had
Yeah,
played against Maggio in minor hockey growing
sure.
up, but other than that, it was pretty brand new. I didn't really know anybody, but like I said, kind of right from the first day, like I kind of became friends with all the guys, and we just really got along like tremendously. And I think that was kind of led to our success on the ice and how close we were as a group. It was really helpful.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can attest that it's not everything on the ice. There's that contributes to your performance and as well as success, right? And you see that a
Exactly.
lot, especially now. Like as I mean, like throughout the season, we didn't know all the players, we didn't know how you guys knew each other, if anything, and now by the end of it, it's all kind of coming out.
No, exactly. I think it's one of those things where it's like right from like the leadership group on the team. I think those guys, the older guys who
Mhm.
had been in the league before, really did a great job kind of bringing everyone together and making sure no guys were left out because we were going to need everybody down the stretch if we wanted to be a successful team.
Yeah, what a deep team it was. And I mean, even goaltending too, right? So I want to talk about that. I mean, you seem to fit in pretty well. You're kind of splitting duties between you and Medina throughout the season, at least. But do you feel like you kind of settled in well with the team and the coaching staff early on, or what did it take a little bit?
Yeah, I think it just took a little bit of time. I hadn't played very many games kind of coming
Yeah.
into Windsor before. It had been obviously with the last year, and then I
Mhm.
just really hadn't played that many games. So, the both the team and the coaches and everybody, the entire organization really just kind of gave me some confidence and just said that they believed in me and they kind of, trusted me that I was capable. And I think that kind of really contributed to giving me more confidence in my own game and helping me kind of progress on the ice as the season went along.
Yeah. Again, it's all those little things that go into it that make the big picture, right?
Exactly. Like I remember like my first game, I lasted like 10 minutes in the Sioux. They scored like a couple weird goals. And I lasted 10 minutes, we were down. And then like after the game, Savvy just came up to me and Bill, and they were just like, you know what, like we still have confidence in you. Like this doesn't matter in the big picture to us. Keep your head up. Like you're gonna be fine. And I think that really went a long way for me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's kind of a weird thing too, like you kind of touched upon, is that previous year, the last OHL year that actually got played most of it.
Yeah.
That was like your first year, right? First season. So for a lot of guys like in your position, it's strange to kind of be cut off, have that year off, and then go into this. Now all of a sudden you're a veteran, right? So
Yeah, no, exactly. It's funny because you go from like, being kind of, the young guy having no idea kind of what,
yeah,
the OHL is like and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden you're a veteran with not that much more experience truly than,
yeah,
a lot of the other guys. And really no playoff experience, right? Because the season
yeah.
was cut off right before the playoffs. So it was really interesting how, other than a few guys, some of the OAs and some of the 19-year-olds who got playoff experience as 16-year-olds, no one really had playoff experience. So it was really interesting from that sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially as a goaltender too. Like, you're not playing all 82 games. So, you know,
Exactly. Yeah.
any experience you had was incredibly vital, but it's just so strange that it's taken away from us. And now it's like, okay, we're back to normal. And you're one of our guys. And you're like, I
Yeah.
played like a handful of games in this league.
no,
Like, what the hell?
no, exactly. You jump from like, I play when I showed up in Windsor, I'd played like, because I was, I got mono when I was in London at the
Oh, yeah.
beginning of the year. So I'd played like 5 OHL games by the time I like came to Windsor, and
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah, actually, I was reading up on that too. And then
Yeah.
just a random thing I have to say, one of the weirdest photos ever is of you with your Windsor Spitfires jersey, but the London Knights pads. You got
Yeah.
like green, yellow, red, white. I was like, oh man, this is a recipe
Yeah,
for
no,
disaster.
I think I played like almost like a month and a half or 2 months with these green pads and the red
Yeah.
jersey, and every day guys were asking me, when's your stuff coming? When's your stuff coming? Yeah, I think the JR equipment manager was like so happy that my stuff finally came in. So people would just stop asking and be like, why isn't his stuff in? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, of course. And coming from London too, it did you no favors, I'm sure, right? So
No, exactly. With the rivalry and yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, obviously something was working well, and especially towards that tail end of the season, like you said, the 13 game win streak between the whole team, everyone doing their part, and obviously you were a major part of that streak, being one of their goaltenders, and would really kind of begin what would transition into the playoffs. I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yeah, I think that I remember during that 13 game win streak, it was kind of throughout the season, we had kind of played maybe a little bit of like a looser game, more like wide open, kind of trading chances with the other team, that sort of thing. And I really remember Savvy during that stretch kind of emphasizing to us that this was our kind of period to crack down really, and start playing more playoff hockey. So, our big emphasis was, when we were tied or up or down by a goal going into the third period, that, it was really time to kind of like crack down and play playoff hockey. And I think that really contributed into our success at the end of the season and really prepared us well for the playoffs and gave us experience in kind of those tight games and what needed to be done to come away with a win.
Right. But like, it just kind of like he didn't realize what was happening until we got closer and closer, right? Like you start this winning streak, he didn't realize how close the playoffs were, and then it just like kind of like worked out like perfectly, right?
Well, exactly. It was one of those things where when you're 4 games into the winning streak, there's still, over a month left. But by the time you're 10 games in, all of a sudden there's, 5 games left. There's 2 weeks left, and it's like, oh crap! Like here we are at the end here. Yeah, and we were managed to kind of string along a little further. And yeah, it was a great way to kind of lead into the playoffs because I think it gave our group a ton of confidence and it solidified the number 1 seed, and we really just proved what we knew, that we were kind of the best team. And
Yeah, exactly. And to do that, it probably was better, because you kind of focus on this winning streak for the tail end of the season, right? I mean, obviously just trying to push that as long as possible, and instead of worrying about playoffs and what we have to do to get ready for playoffs, it just happened. You just did it in those last 15 games.
No, exactly. And part of, I think it was also like there were times where we were down, going into the third with 8 games into the stretch. And it was like, we want this. It was kind of that, like, not quite do or die, but it was really that kind of dire, like, if we want to keep this going, we got 20 minutes. And it's similar to that playoff kind of atmosphere of like, you got to kind of leave it all out there. And yeah, I think it really just helped prepare us really well.
Yeah, and like just like you're saying, like not like every win was easy, right?
No.
And there's the same thing in the playoffs, man. I mean, what a run it was. I mean, from the very beginning on. I mean, every series was exciting. There's battles in there at times, different teams and players and stuff like that. But fuck, what a run! I'm sure like you said, you're just still kind of on that, right?
Yeah, no, it was incredible. I mean, it didn't matter. We were tested in every series. We had different moments kind of where it was like, this could happen, not go our way. And we kind of were able to fight those off in different moments. And obviously, like, you come so close game 7, like in the very end, like, but even in game 6, the game before that, right, Hamilton comes, has a chance to win. And we kind of really did a tremendous job in that game, and then just kind of fell just short, but it was an incredible run, and there was a lot to be proud of for all our guys.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, so that's the thing. It's like, it wasn't like one guy, one goaltender doing everything, right? Like this whole team was deep and had their moments. And I'm glad you brought up game 6. I mean, again, just battling throughout all those teams through Flint. The Flint series was crazy. And then to get to game 6, I mean, what's kind of put us there, I was going to say, the whole final series, better yet, what we were talking about before, 2 years off from COVID, you played a few games, you have a whole year pretty much laid off. Now you're on TSN, standing on your head in front of a sold out crowd. Had to have been pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it was quite the feeling, to be honest. Like, if you had told me kind of, 5-6 months prior that I'd be in that position after I remember I was sitting at home watching games because I had to go home while I had mono. And so I was watching games from like my couch, and I hadn't played a game yet in the season. I obviously, with the missed year, I just felt so far away from like being able to be in that moment that, like, kind of fast forward 6 months later, it was an incredible feeling to be in that moment. It was something that I definitely was just able to cherish. I honestly just enjoyed it. It was awesome to be able. The support from the fans was incredible. The place was packed, so loud. It was rowdy. It was one of those things where all the boys kind of knew that, like, all season we were amazing on home ice, but because we just knew we had such great fans, it just kind of put us over the edge with already our talent on the ice, and it just kind of helps.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, that's something I've been talking about. Well, was talking about the whole series and playoff too, is, the crowds got bigger and bigger, louder and louder, and they didn't go away. And I think that was a big part of playing at home, obviously, too, right? And it's crazy to talk to a guy, obviously, on the team and being a Spitfire supporter. Like you said, like 5 months prior, you would think, like, who knows if they'll be there. Now it's like, how did we not know? How did we not see this?
No, exactly. And it was one of those where when you kind of look at the stretch as we started to get deeper and deeper into the season, and you looked at our home ice record for a while there, we were like incredible on home ice during the 2022 portion of the regular season. It was one of those things where when we got that momentum with a couple goals at home, like we kind of just started to really roll over teams a bit. And I think that anytime we were playing at home, we just had a ton of confidence that we were going to win. It didn't matter kind of what situation we were in, but we kind of all believed that we were going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. And again, that's what you need.
Yeah.
And we're at that point, going into the playoffs, and it's like, okay, these guys got a chance. These guys got a good chance. They're going to have their work cut out for them. So who knows? But then you guys do it. You get all the way to the final. Again, there was a little bit of adversity with Flint. They're a tough team, and now you're facing the best team in the league, in the CHL. Top ranked. They're undefeated, and you guys almost beat them. You almost beat them in however many games. I mean, it has to be something that the whole team is proud of. Probably a little frustrated and angry as well, but something that you guys are probably like, hey, we did that, and we were the team to do that.
Well, for sure. I even remember after we beat them in game one, we were talking about like they had just won 22 straight hockey games.
Yeah.
Like no one really kind of gave us a fighting chance. So as much as it stings and it's like little obviously angry and upsetting that we weren't able to pull it out in game 7, there's still a lot to be proud of, because really nobody really before that series started gave us a chance to do that. And so, yeah, there was a lot to be proud of.
Oh, of course. I mean, like I said, like maybe people underestimated you guys too, right? Like the Hamilton's undefeated, so they're probably gonna do the same to Windsor, right? First game, you guys beat them, and again, what a series! Just to talk about that series alone, it flipped so much back and forth. It was like, this is it, right? It's over.
Well, exactly.
Like,
overtime goals. Both teams won in overtime. Like. It was just such a tight series, and it was really fitting that it went to 7 games, really, because of how kind of close the two teams were. And it's one of those where in game 7 anyone truly can win. That's why you're in game 7. But yeah, it's such an incredible series. I mean, from Renwick scoring the OT winner in that game, like just the energy in that, and coming home, we're tied 1-1, and then coming home and kind of really like blowing them out a bit in game 3. I think that was, we won like 5-2 in that second period. We really kind of put the pedal to the metal, and it was awesome. It was such a good feeling, kind of proud of the guys in that moment, because really we were the ones that believed in ourselves in the dressing room. We didn't really listen to kind of, how great Hamilton was, even though they were a great team, but we were able to kind of not think about that too much and think about, all the guys they had, but really just focus on ourselves.
Yeah. Acknowledge like we have a challenge in front of us, but that doesn't mean that it's something that can't be done, right? It doesn't mean that we can't do it or whatever, right? So that's exactly what you guys need to do. And you got the best seat, obviously you do your thing, but you got to see everything else unfold from the red line out, as they say.
No, exactly. And I think that when you have, as much talent as we kind of did, and we could also with that bond that we had off the ice, I think that everybody kind of had confidence in each other. And that's all it really was going to take for us, is that we just really worried about ourselves. And when you have, guys like Johnny and Cools kind of leading the way, I think that we kind of really we're like, you know what, we have a chance. It doesn't matter who we're playing, but we have a chance. No matter who the other team has, we're going to those guys are going to help put us in a position to win. And that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, needless to say, this team and a lot of individuals, including yourself, have already cemented themselves in, Windsor hockey, Windsor Spitfires history, even if it's just 1 year. And man, again, we kind of talked about how, it started in London, you got cut off, and now you're here in Windsor after this OHL final run. I'm sure, if it wasn't for that break, things would be a lot different for you too, right? And a lot of these guys in regards to the draft and development and stuff, right?
No, for sure. I think with kind of the way our season kind of happened and progressed, like We kind of one of our focuses as a team was also that, like, we knew that, if our team was successful, that it was going to also help the individuals. And you see guys like Perry and Henny get, pro contracts, and Maj getting drafted, and guys getting camp invites. I think it's just great to see. And I think it's something that, those guys on the team earned. And it's just awesome that they're reaping the benefits of the season we had.
Yeah. And probably, maybe the guys that had to work harder too, right? Like, they weren't on the top team. They weren't on Hamilton and stuff. They didn't have a lot of, like, Windsor didn't have a lot of eyes on them until kind of you guys went on that streak, right?
No, for sure. Because I think that, Windsor, if you kind of look at throughout the season, I think even when I came, we were in kind of fifth place. So it was more so like, it was like they're a good team, but like, they're not great. And I think kind of we, in the second half of the season, really cemented ourselves as being a great team, through our additions. And I think also just through kind of the way we grew as a team and continued to progress. It was just awesome to see.
Oh, no doubt about that. And again, just the hard work paid off, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was one of those where kind of after the missed year, everyone was willing to put in that much more, because it was like, we have this opportunity right now. We're back in front of fans getting to play. Like, everyone was missing that so much that it was just like, we just have to cherish this.
Yeah, that has to be a big part of it. I was going to say that too, actually. Thanks for reminding me, actually, because you mentioned Renwick scoring that overtime goal, and maybe the pandemic helped it in a sense, but it was like the emotions were at an all-time high for the players, probably for the fans. Obviously with his history with Hamilton, is like just so many little like storylines in this series that weren't just always about hockey or just traditional hockey. It was like this was something special.
It truly was something special, because there was moments playing in the season where we're playing in front of nobody.
Right.
And that's just a way different feeling. As much as you're still playing hockey, it's not the same without the fans. And to kind of get to that moment in front of in a packed barn in Hamilton, and Rennie against his former team, the team that drafted him, was able to kind of end that streak. It was such a special moment, and the energy in that building was crazy.
Yeah. It's cool stuff, man. It's going to go down in history for sure.
Yeah.
And you still got a bright future for sure ahead of you, man. I mean, it's so weird again with the break. It's hard to like keep track of your guys' progression and stats, I guess you could say. So at this point, are you able to return? Is there anything in the future that you can talk about, or?
Yeah, I would be able to return as like an overager potentially, and that sort of thing with Windsor as like one of the three guys potentially.
Yep.
And that's kind of really all I know so far. I'm just kind of focusing on my own off season, recovering, and kind of getting prepared to put myself in a position to be ready wherever that is, and hopefully Windsor.
Yeah, that's exactly what it takes and what you got to do. And it's still kind of get some relaxation and some rest this summer. I'm sure, again, like you said, it's much needed and the time to do it. But congrats on a great run, man. Great playoff, great year. And, again, representing Windsor.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. It was honestly amazing to come to Windsor, and kind of the city and the people and the fans and the team and the organization was just amazing to be a part of, really. And it was just really special. I wasn't really quite sure what it would be like when I got traded there, but it was really special. And I think that, looking back, it couldn't have turned out better, really, with the way things went. And it was just awesome.
Yeah, no complaints. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it.